Now, people in here, because of the fact that you're here, probably know about Gable Steveson. But in case you don't, Gable Steveson was accused of the same thing as Conor McGregor. And you know what's wild about Gable Stevenson's situation? There was actually case law put into effect specifically because of him. They had to change the law. This is very real. They had to change the law after the fact because he was let go because the law wasn't specific enough to get him. So he slid right through. And they said this could never happen again because it was a very strange, twisted technicality. So he was let go. And immediately they're like, let's change this law. So like retroactively, he wouldn't be fighting today. At least not, I mean, he'd probably be fighting in prison. But he was accused of the same thing and he got away scot-free because of that legal technicality that they now changed, which is very interesting. And it was funny, MMA On Point made a video about it the other day. They made a... Dude. So they make this video and you could tell by the thumbnail, by the title, and I can't even remember exactly what it was, but as soon as you see the thumbnail and title, you're like, this is bad. And then they're like, well, we're not making any claims here. We're just kind of being, we're not being biased. We're just kind of like right before his big debut on like one of the biggest cards of the year. All this anticipation, MMA On Point releases that video and starts going through that night and the court proceedings and the law and all that and how he would have been behind bars if the law would have been into effect at that point and he got away. But I don't know. Let us know what you think. So it was like whoever wrote that video is like not a Gable Steveson fan and they were trying to come after him. But then at the end be like, but we're just trying to be, unbiased about our take. We're just reporting it. But anyway, I thought that was funny. So that came out. I've already known about this. People have known about this. That video, that was funny on Lil 8 Up. So that video came out. So today there was an embedded. This is crazy, dude. If you know about the Gable Steveson allegations and then you see embedded today, I wrote it down for you. Gable Steveson said, he said, going through life and getting a couple hiccups is all part of the journey. I think he learned how to speak John Jones. I think he went through a course. I think this is John Jones vernacular. Hiccups. Hiccups is a pretty endearing way to put it, if you ask me. I got to be honest. Going through life and getting a couple of hiccups is all part of the journey. You got to have some hiccups to get to where you need to go. So, I mean, yeah, he had a couple hiccups. Conor McGregor has had some hiccups. Alex Pereira has had some alleged hiccups. Mike Tyson has had some hiccups. My Tío Beto. You know what I'm saying. And, I mean, again, knowing what those allegations, just look into it. Do your research. Knowing the allegation. It makes me kind of sick, to be honest with you. It makes me feel kind of sick to call them allegations and accusations. Because again, from what I saw, quite literally, he would have been donezo if the law was already in effect at that point. But there was a weird law in that place at that time, which they've now changed. Which is weird because did they ever appeal John Jones's loss after that illegal elbow thing? And that supposedly now remember they were going to do that retroactively. So retroactively, if the elbow's all good now, does that mean retroactively? Gable Steveson, come to your own conclusion. I'm not trying to play the place of the authorities here. But something that I thought was also very, very fascinating on top of that was Greg Jackson. Greg Jackson refused to go to the White House. Now, I don't know if Josh Hogan is still training with Greg Jackson. Frankly, I think he should dump him. I think he should tell that fool to kick rocks. But Greg Jackson refused to attend the White House event with the face of the UFC. He refused to go and support the biggest fighter making the most waves, the most moves, doing the biggest things in the UFC right now because he didn't feel right. He didn't agree with what was going on. He didn't want to be there with those bad people and the things that they may or may not have done. That's not a good look. He didn't want to support that. Well, he's supporting Gable Steveson. He's training him. He was being interviewed on Embedded talking about Gable Steveson. And I guess Greg Jackson said if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a weird mental technicality, some kind of hoops that he had to jump through I don't know. But I don't understand how you take this stand and you get on your soapbox and you say, I'm not going to do that. I'm above that. I'm better than that. How could I ever? But then he's doing this. Interesting. See, if you really felt that way about the people at the White House, about the people there in attendance, which most of them were military people, what do you think, Greg Jackson? Do you think Epstein was sitting there? Do you think that Jeffrey Epstein was going to be sitting cage side? Everyone knows that Epstein is in Bolivia. Why would he be at Washington, D.C.? You know how much of a pain that would be for him to come back and then have to leave again? So worst case, Greg Jackson, there's some people there that maybe you don't like, right? But you're actually training a dude. You're actually getting hands-on with the dude. You're actually exchanging, you're touching pores with this dude. By osmosis, you're complicit. You're an accomplice. But that's okay. Is it because he's an Olympian? What if Epstein was an Olympian? What if Donald Trump was an Olympian? I think Donald Trump funded the Olympics. Does that count? The hypocrisy is crazy, and I think Josh Hogan should dump him. And by the way, Greg Jackson and Gable Steveson, we don't need you anymore. Months and months ago, it was all the hype. Oh, this wrestler, Gable, and his mentor, John Jones, he's coming in, and the heavyweight division is so boring. It's so boring. It's dead. We need some youth in here. We got Josh Hogan. We don't need you anymore, Gable Steveson. Oh, but he's a wrestler that was also a football player, and he got his hands. Oh, we talking about Josh Hogan? Yeah, we're talking about Josh Hogan, right? We're not talking about Gable Steveson. Oh, Gable Steveson, you took too long. You were that dude that was a wrestler, but that was also a football player, and then he had some hands. Oh, yeah, that's Josh Hogan. He beat you, and he's better at it. And he knows how to cut a promo. He knows how to. I remember the first time I saw you talking on JRE, Gable Steveson. That was before I even knew about the allegations. And I was like, why does this dude rub me kind of like Dustin Poirier? Why does he seem like a fake nice guy? Why does something seem off? Why do I feel like John Jones is talking right now? Oh, We don't need you anymore, bro. Greg Jackson, jeez.